How we doing, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of NASCAR FSI's NASCAR DFS Pick Show. I'm your host TK Nation 47, joined with Mega Roy 31. Had to restart the Zoom call. Mega and I, as you can see, on the opposite ends of a baseball game this evening, but we were watching that ending, and sorry, Mega, rookie with another walk off, and hopefully another good one for tomorrow's matchup.
You don't need to be sorry because Syracuse won. They're 6-0, which means they're bowl
Yes.
eligible on October 15th. They're gonna go probably 4-6, and or four. They're probably gonna lose um, 4 out of their next six, so they'll end up like 8-6. But still, they'll make a bowl, which is cool. Uh, Xfinity was great. Josh Berry was one of the prime plays. He won the
Yes.
race.
Yes.
Not only did I do well in DFS, I also did well betting on it. And
Yep. Did on
baseball
the parlay.
baseball was good, and even though the Yankees lost, I hedged it on FanDuel, so I've got a nice stack going with Kirby as pitcher, and I had Cleveland and I had Philly, so we're doing pretty well right now. If the Dodgers and San Diego continue not to put up runs, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Hoping that pulls that out for you there at the end, the Padres. Yeah, it was a pretty eventful Xfinity race. At one point I was doing really well. I think I had too much Bailey Curry. And I think that really sunk me. But it was I think the process was right. And I think we're
Haley
gonna stick to
Deegan,
that.
14th. Holy cow!
Yes. Dude, I wish I would have went all in and pushed all the chips into Haley Deegan. I'm pretty sure she was in the optimal lineup. So the process is there, guys. So let's just continue on. Let's keep going with the cup and see where it takes us. Just give us a little bit of a brief rundown on the playoff scenario before we go driver by driver.
Well, we just had a cutoff race, so there's three more races, three more chances for them to get into the final four. There's eight drivers left. Chase Elliott is most comfortably ahead by like about 21 points, and everybody else is kind of tightly grouped between like I think there's only a 17-point difference between dead last and the guy that's in second here. So currently above the cut line are Logano, Bell, and Ross Chastain.
Mm-hmm.
Below it, but not in any danger whatsoever, is Byron, Blaney, Briscoe, and Hamlin.
Mm-hmm.
And I think points are going to matter here, which could fall into strategy, which means that these guys could stay out. And we saw that in the Xfinity race, but it really didn't matter because these are the cars that ended up getting up, and having the best cars and did well and fine. It wasn't. I thought that maybe like Trevor Bayne would like stay out there and dominate, or some of the other guys that are out of it, but that just wasn't the case. The best cars were the ones that were out there
Mm-hmm.
in front, and I think we're going to see that again. We had the stupid practice. We're qualifying in like two different sections, and it
Yeah.
just isn't fair, and it's unbalanced, and it created some really chalky plays for us here. So
Yep.
I don't think we can look at practice a ton because people are trying to figure out this is a not a tire wear track, but it's a track where if you have too much, you need to not have a ton of air in your tires, but if you don't have enough in the air in your tires, they're going to blow out, and we're going to have issues like we saw in previous races. It's hard to compare this track. It's a steeper track. Kansas and Texas, they're about the same distance.
Mm-hmm.
So I, I didn't really throw any comparisons on here. Just kind of looked at practice and just kind of went by the field, current form, things like playoff scenarios. So we'll go through it, and if we want to change some of the plays, then we will. So that's why you gotta watch the video all the way through, because the plays that you see before you right now might not be what they are at the end of the video. So
There you go. All right, let's kick it off here with Tyler Reddick starting on the pole, 10-1. I believe the winner of the last mile and a half was he,
yeah, he's been
or was
really
he not?
fast here, but he didn't look great
Texas.
in practice. But again, like I said, we're gonna kind of discount that. I just see him as a GPP because I think there's other guys that can get up here and lead. If you want to put him in cash, that's fine. You want to get a dominator probably in the top four here, like somebody that's going to go out. We saw it change between about three guys, I think, in Xfinity. It was pretty much Gregson, Barry, and a little bit of Ty Gibbs, if I
Yep.
recall. Maybe there's a couple, like Kyle Weatherman led a couple laps during a pit and things like that.
Hits,
But
hit
you really
runs. Yeah.
can't, bank on a lot of those. You're going to have guys that stay out and lead laps, like Corey LaJoy or Landon Castle or somebody like that. Probably going to pick up a couple laps led if they like pit after everybody else does and get off sequence. But you really can't read too much into that. So
Hmm.
Reddick, I like him. He was like really good when, and then things have like fallen off a little bit recently. But again, I think he's a good play. But at 10-1, I think he's gonna be chalky. I'm gonna
Yeah.
be underweight on him. I'd rather, but then again, he doesn't have to um, work for stage points. He can pit
Right.
early and get out there for stage three and keep the track positions. So um, again, I don't think I'm gonna play in cash. I'll definitely play him in GPP.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely play him in GBPs and probably have a decent amount of ownership on him. I feel like he's just gonna be racing for a win, like you said, and I don't know. Looked really good at Texas Motor Speedway. Ran seventh in the spring race. I just feel like he's got a lot of momentum. Um, and I just don't mind the Richard Childress team right now. They're really, really clicking, and I do like the 8 car. Um, and I
Did you
just
see
don't.
he got bought out, so he's not gonna.
He got bought out. What do you
Yeah.
mean?
Well, they were going to run 3 cars because Kyle Busch was going to take over his car, and then Childress was going to form a third team. But they're going to buy out his contract, so he's going directly to the 45 for next year. And
Whoa,
Kurt Busch announced his retirement today from NASCAR full time.
whoa!
Yeah,
Today,
yeah, well,
breaking
think
news.
it's his home track. It's his hometown. It made sense. He's going to run next year, but like in a limited capacity. So he's going to run some races, but not all of them.
Oh my goodness! How did I miss this today?
You're watching football and baseball,
Yeah, I did
like the
watch the
rest of the world.
Alabama Tennessee game. Oh my goodness. Okay, so this is all happening fast. Maybe maybe they're gonna end it on a high note then and try to win here in Las Vegas. So that happened. Okay. Anyway, let's get into let's keep going. Cindric 7,700. Any interest?
Not really. He's kind of there. He's just
I
a
think it's a
leverage
fade.
play.
Yeah,
He looked good in practice and everything, but it's hard to imagine between Reddick, Byron, and Blaney that
yeah,
he's the one that gets out there and dominates and leads a bunch of
agreed.
laps. So I'm
Yeah,
not super interested. Price is decent.
sure. Probably gonna be a fade for me. William Byron, 9,700, still in the playoff hunt, not far behind in points. There's going to be a lot of stage racing involved with his race strategy today. I think it's going to be try to get as many stage points as possible and see what happens in stage three. Your thoughts?
Hendrick Carr won this last time. This was the one that I
Mm-hmm.
believe
Bowman.
Kyle Busch said he backed into it because they got like late caution and stuff.
Yep.
So
Yep.
he's going to have plenty of resources with the 5 and the 48 out of it. I mean, the
Yeah.
5's still there for like owners championship. So I just really think that he could get out there. He could lead laps. I think he's a decent cash play.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I like him. I like the fact that there were 400 cars in the top 10 in the spring and 3 in the top 5. I mean, that speaks volumes to where they are as a team when it comes to this racetrack. And I see a couple of them didn't qualify well, but I'm from what I'm gathering, it was a really helter skelter kind of 2 group qualifying. So I don't think I'm going to take too much stock in qualifying, and I will take some stock into what I saw in the spring race. So I'll go with some Byron here and throw him into some GBP lineups, maybe into cash. I do like Ryan Blaney a tad bit more. I think he's going to be my lean for cash.
yeah, and I think I'm there too. He was one of the fastest ones in practice. He was out
Mm-hmm.
there the longest time in practice too, so he's got a feel, and he had the least amount of fall off, which is something that's very important here.
Good
Maintaining
call.
his speed if there's going to be long runs. The only problem with Blaney is twofold: is that they've struggled with the air pressure at
Mm-hmm.
times, and he has dropped back like a rock at some points. He's qualified well, and he just hasn't finished it. I think this is the chance where he is. He needs to make up some points to get into that, and I think this is probably his best opportunity to potentially win a race. I would think. I don't really like him at Bristol and Homestead. I'm not super fan of him either.
Yeah.
But that is more of a tire wear track, and I think he's decent on tire wear, so maybe. But I think this is a good chance for him to win a race, and I expect good things. So out of the top four, he's got to be my favorite.
He did wreck out in the spring, but anything can happen. Like you said, longest run in practice, looked really comfortable on the track. Let's just hope it translates into race speed when it comes time tomorrow. All right, Joey Logano at 8,900, sitting fifth, pretty firmly in the playoffs, I would say. I mean, not for sure, but some stage points and go home with a top 10. I think he's fine.
Yeah, I have him as a GPP because the problem with him is his car doesn't do good unless it's in or unless it's in clean air. So
Yeah.
unless he can get out there and lead, I think that he just falls back. And again, I think top 10 is definitely where he's going to end up, but I don't see him like getting a lot of dominated points here, and I don't know if he's necessarily a threat to win the race.
Agreed. Next up, we have Daniel Suarez, 7,900. I think this is close to a fade. Your
Yeah,
thoughts?
I agree. Just because I think they're testing for next year.
Yep.
They had a really good season. All the resources are going to Chastain,
Yep.
and
That's exactly why it was close
right.
to a fade for me. It was that exact reason that Chastain's getting everything right now. So yeah, I think I'm out on Suarez. Christopher Bell, 10-5,
Uh,
starting seven.
I think he's going to be cash play and highly owned.
Really?
Yeah, just
I know he's
because.
in form, but the tracks that we were just on, just
Yeah, I know, but he usually qualifies well, and I don't know.
how did he do at Texas recently? I mean, he wasn't that good at Texas. And then he did well at a super speedway and won Charlotte Roval. I don't know. If he's gonna be high owned, I'm gonna take a stand and go a little, and I'm gonna go less on ownership, and then maybe throw some more into the Hendrick cars in the back.
He's not one of my favorite cash plays, but as I look at this top 10,
Yeah.
he's one of the three that I could see winning the race. I could see actually getting up there and doing well. So
Okay.
that's why I marked him as cash. I don't like the price. I don't
Yeah, I
like the
don't either.
practice. But again, they're experimenting with stuff. And also, you only have two cars left in Gibbs, and they're pretty
Hmm.
much probably stripped everything off of Truex and everything off of Kyle, and they're all going in these two just to try to get one of them to push them into the top eight or top four.
Yeah. I will say, um, if you think all the ownership is going to go to Elliott and Hamlin, that maybe his price tag does suppress his ownership a little bit, and then he would be a good play.
I think he's
Like
going to be
if he,
playing FanDuel, especially where you
okay,
need to,
yeah,
more so.
yeah. So
And
I'm
he's
just
in,
I'm just thinking like if he's low owned, like the ownership projections come out and he's low owned, I think it makes for a good leverage play off of Chase Elliott.
I
If
think
it's
he's to be highly just because he's a Gibbs car, and
then I'm going to be underweight. It all depends on the ownership right here. Next up we have Harrison Burton. I couldn't even
I
finish
don't know
that.
how Blind Squirrel finds a nut. I mean, he's been doing better recently, but
Oh, yeah, that was
yeah,
funny.
yeah, 54, not eight. Like again, FanDuel, I'm okay with it,
Sure.
but not here.
Not a chance. Next up we have Bubba Wallace, 8,700 in the 45, racing for manufacturing points. We know the story right now. Um, I don't know.
Here's the hard one though. This is the car he won Kansas in.
Oh, okay.
So again, I think
Practice
it's
14th.
great play on FanDuel. I think it's a GPP play here,
Yeah,
a strong GPP play because I think he can stay up in the top 10 and maybe, if all goes well, get into the top five and maybe threaten. I wouldn't be surprised to see him leading this
a
race here.
surprise top five tomorrow, you're saying?
I wouldn't be surprised if he leads this race at some points.
Interesting.
I don't think he wins it, but I think he
Hmm.
finishes top five. I think he leads some laps, but I just don't think he has the floor. And he again is one that has a love hate relationship with his tire,
True.
so I can't go. I can't go with him in cash
Yeah,
starting
yeah,
here.
definitely, definitely, definitely one to pay attention to heading into tomorrow. Austin Dillon, 7,500. Yeah,
How?
this is no.
How? Like Yeah,
Him and Harrison Burton with the most surprising qualifying runs I think I've ever seen.
again, they probably were in the same group, and like the sun
Yeah,
was shining and the track was faster, and
the
then there's like a cloud came over when the group two went,
bingo.
and everybody like slowed down. So, or a deer ran across the
I'm
track
gonna
or
have to
something.
rewatch qualifying to see what happened.
Yeah,
Next up, we have Ross Chastain, 9,900. You have the floor.
I think
I'm
he
with
was so
you.
he was so fast
I'm
early
with you.
on. He's in the playoffs. He's Trackhouse has had the speed. I think that they then they started to have some tire issues. So I think maybe they played with the
Or
air, and
yeah.
maybe they have more in it now, so they're not as fast, but they're a little bit more. They traded stability for speed, but I think he's going to be aggressive, and I think that I like there's some place differential here. I look at the
Hmm.
drivers around him, and I think that there's opportunity to get up there. So, and he like Reddick is okay running the high line, and we saw some of the guys today that were just up on that wall, and they were scraping the wall and running into the wall and running into other cars, and didn't even slow them down, like So I think I'm good with Chastain. Second fastest in practice here.
Yeah.
Didn't look like he had a lot of fall off, so a lot of things point to. I think that I debated him or Blaney, and I think with Chastain for $400 more with the place differential, that's where I landed.
Bingo. Absolutely nailed it, sir. I'm following your lead here. Gonna push the chips into the pot with Chastain. I finished third here in the spring race. Won stage two, third in stage one. Really ran well here. So definitely going to town with Chastain. Cash for sure. Chris Buescher, 7,200. Any interest?
Not really. I don't think it's his type of track. I think he's gonna have low ownership. Like
Yeah.
actually, he's the one I want at like Homestead. Like he's run so well there in
Hmm.
a couple races, but here I think he's starting a little bit too far forward.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say if you land on him in
And I
FanDuel
think
or
they're
something
they're
like that, it's
experimenting. Like,
yeah.
and Keselowski has come out and said it. Like this team is looking to. I saw too that they might partner with Dodges too, which would be interesting.
Dodge.
Yeah,
Whoa. That's
maybe I misread that. Maybe it was,
yeah,
but
all kinds of you're just dropping news. I can't keep up with the news today. Oh my goodness. Dodge back in the sport, that'd be insane. But
they
yeah,
they
I'm with
want some more
you.
manufacturers. That's why they brought this car in and made it
It's
really
true.
easy for anybody to enter. So
That's true. It
these
would be
cars
cool
are
to
more
see some.
stock than they have been.
It would be so cool to see someone like Dodge come back. That would be cool. All right, Kevin
Ray
Harvick, 80.
Everham.
Yes, please, dude. Yes. Oh my God, bring back the memories. Him and Casey Kane.
Yeah,
Um, let's go. We got Kevin Harvick, 8,300. Kind of stuck here. I don't know what to do.
he is driving mad. He almost won a road race last week.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he
Yeah, I
was.
didn't have a chance to watch last week,
Yeah,
so
he did well at the ROVAL. His crew chief Rodney Childress has been suspended. Tony Stewart is
oh
joined the fight too. He has told NASCAR that he has some engagements that he is already committed to, and he's a man of his word, and he'll go through that. But he is doing nothing else to help or support NASCAR until they get some stuff
whoa.
figured out. There is a war here.
Holy smokes. And I thought the news was stopping here. Oh my gosh, what did I miss last week? This is incredible. Okay, so we're in on Kevin Harvick because pissed off Kevin Harvick is a Kevin Harvick you roster.
Hmm.
No Rodney Childress. I actually think that slightly benefits this team in a way. He
True.
can kind of miss. He can kind of miss on some setups. So maybe if they take a really conservative approach and just let Kevin drive into the car, it might be better off. And no, don't disrespect to Rodney Childress. I mean,
No.
he's good. He can destroy a race course. Like he can nail it, right? But he can miss. And I like this. 8,300 is a really good price tag. Kyle Larson 10-3. Man, I kind of like this spot for Kyle Larson.
Yeah, and he and Kyle Busch are the first two in my GPP every single week, just
Yeah,
because of
this is
his
a
love-hate
track you like.
relationship with the tire, and I think he'll be highly owned. He's still racing for the manufacturers' championship, so I mean he could still win that even not, without winning the title. So I think there's still going to be resources going to him here. And it's just been kind of a disappointing season, but kind of the pressure's off now, and I think he's going to go out there and really lay a good foundation to finish strong and get
Mm-hmm.
some momentum for next year.
Yep. Finished second in the spring, finished third in stage two, sixth in stage one. I think this is a top eight written all over it. Um, you might need a little bit of upside at 10-3, but I mean, if he can get into some clean air, get a good pitch strategy, get a good couple of pit stops, he could get himself up into the mix in battle for the lead. So I like this spot for Larson. I've been fading Larson for most of the year, but I kind of don't mind it this week. Next up, we have Michael McDowell, 6,200. I don't want to be too quick to write this play off. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's GPP. I think, there's a much better play. Like Stenhouse for 200 less is a much better play. Justin
Mhm.
Haley for $400 less is a
Yeah,
much better play. Even Cole Custer. But he has been solid, and you look at him like, oh, he's starting too far forward, but he just kind of hangs out there and is
right.
like, and finishes solid. So I think he's a good pivot off of some of the chalkier cash plays that are a little bit lower with more place differential with
Hmm.
somebody that's been in good form and has just been kind of like going out and doing his thing. So
Sure. Yeah, and I think 6,200, not a bad price tag to take a stab at maybe he finishing 10th. You never know. Flyer for sure, GBP only. Chase Briscoe, 8,100.
again, I'm worried about how far back he is and like
I
having to
think
race for stage points and stuff. I just
he's got to get a good finish this week
yeah,
to
yeah.
start it out.
Yeah, and I don't think it's to the point where it's like winner like swinging for the fences. I think there's enough that they could point their way into it. So with how close everybody is, so and every point matters, and I think that that's going to be the focus more than racing here. Nothing really super excites me with this. Like again, his owner's mad at NASCAR, so I don't know how
Yeah,
that plays out. He's the only
right.
one left from this team, so he's going to get all the resources,
Yeah,
but I still think it's too risky for cash.
for sure. Definitely going to be in the player pool though, just in case Tony Stewart is a madman and he's going to throw everything but the kitchen sink into this race car. Next up, we have Noah Gregson in the 48. Alex Bowman is still out. This car won in the spring, only 7,300 on the price tag. Gregson looked pretty good today. Do you think he does well in a cup car?
Yeah, I hope hope we see Bowman back, and but he's not going to be back
Yeah,
till Phoenix at least. He might be out the rest of the year. So
probably the rest of the year.
Gregson, I
I like Hendricks. I like Hendricks. So I'm gonna play him.
yeah, 73 is like a great price and
Yeah,
everything. I wish he was starting a little bit further back. I have him in a GPP. I can't play him in cash. This car
sure.
is just so different than when he drives an Xfinity, and I know he's still getting used to it. And it's a great opportunity because he's going into um, a car next year that's like
I should feel
pretty
like I should know that.
GMS, which I
Yeah.
mean they made strides this year, but the 42 car hasn't really been fast, and maybe it's the driver, and maybe it's the car and
Hmm.
everything they have, and pretty much the other team there with Eric Jones gets all the resources. I
Yeah.
don't know, but this is a great opportunity for him to impress Mr. H, and
Hmm.
for at some point when
Anyone for that matter.
right to maybe get into one of these cars in the future too, because they're pretty much aligned with like tech and stuff. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yep, I'm definitely in the player pool tomorrow for sure. Kyle Busch, 9,300. See, clock is ticking on his Gibbs career. Any win one for the Gipper before he goes, or
I think, but like God only knows like what they've left him with
no
like
kid,
equipment wise and stuff. Like his
or
car's like
what his care level is at the moment?
yeah, had blown up and stuff. But I'm surprised he didn't race the Xfinity race here. It's his home track. I don't think he raced all five this season, or
Right.
like maybe when he won his 100th, like he kind of semi-retired from that or whatever. I can't believe he's completely done. But anyways,
Yeah.
I, I flirted. I can't do them in cash just because there's too much. Like FanDuel, maybe.
Hmm.
I like it. I like the pricing there and the upside. But here, again, he and Larson is where I start my GPPs.
Yep. Yeah, I like the price tag at 9,300. I think it's a top 10 car. Finished fourth in the race in the spring, finished in the top 5 in the second stage. As long as they try, I think they finish in the top 10. There's emphasis on try, like be cautious. Like there is a good possibility Kyle Busch just goes out there, turns a few laps.
He wants that guitar trophy.
The home track does
Yeah.
play a factor, I think, into this. The more I think about it,
And it's
like,
Gregson's too. I mean, so
man, you know what? I could see, yeah, I could see both of them panning out. All right, yeah, I'm gonna have to play a little bit of both.
the Las Vegas
T
line.
Yep, the all Vegas line. All right, next up we got Ty Gibbs,
No,
6,600.
struggling with this car.
Yep, nope, gonna be a pass for me too. Next up, Chase Elliott.
I know a lot of people are going to play him in cash, but I just have a GPP. Just didn't look great in practice, and I think he's the one that's safe enough that they're just
Mhm.
going to continue to try to get points and stuff. He will move up and everything, but at 10-7, I would rather play like Chastain and Hamlin as my guys. I don't know if you can get 3 in and really like your lineup.
Yeah,
I'd rather like get some of the mid-range guys in there, like
yeah.
maybe like Blaney in with it.
I think Chase is gonna be the guy that if you play less of him, and you'll probably work out the better in a 150 lineup format if you go with that Denny Hamlin then balanced approach or dominator at the top approach and just leave Chase out, because I think you're not going to see Chase into the top 10 until like stage 2 or stage 3. I don't see him getting to the front that quick, working on the car. I think it's going to take him some time, some pits, some green flag runs to get himself into the top 10. And by that time, you could have one of Blaney, Byron, Wallace, any of the guys, Reddick that we talked about earlier, having enough dominator points. And then you're going to have enough Denny Hamlin place differential to kind of overcome any Chase Elliott combination that's out there. So I think he's just a bad DFS play, if that makes any sense.
Mhm.
But I think I'll still have ownership just to make sure, hey, nope, Chase Elliott has a good car. He's ready, and then he's on and running, right? Next up, we have AJ Allmendinger, 6,400. Any love? Going to go full time next year.
Yeah, he looked good in practice off the hauler and everything here, but I just don't believe it with this. It's just not his type of track. I mean, he
Mhm.
wasn't great in Xfinity today, if I recall.
Yeah, no,
Um,
ran a couple laps and went back to 10th and hung out.
yeah, so yeah, and GPP.
Eric Jones, 7,100. Yes, sir.
Yeah, love this play. Looked great off the hauler. He's
Mm-hmm.
had speed on these types of tracks.
In some
Um,
form.
22nd is a little bit further, and I like him, but I think at 71, he's going to be definitely a cash play for me if I can
Absolutely.
get to him. He's kind of in that no man mid range, so that's why I don't want to play Elliott to try to get him into my line.
You can sometimes get into trouble trying to force a play like Eric Jones, but I certainly am going to have quite a bit of ownership just in case it's a real thing and he's a top 10 car. Eric Almirola in the number 10,
Again,
6,700.
we have the mad owner,
Yeah,
here, but
same.
the team that struggled, but he looked fast off the hauler and in
Mhm.
practice also. So I think he's cash viable at 67 here. There's some place differential. I don't think he's going to get super high, like maybe a top 15, but I don't think he's going to lead the race. He's definitely not a threat to win race, but I
Hey,
think there's a lot of upside here.
I think you're right because he finished sixth in the spring. He was looking pretty good. Um, Come the end of the race, could be the same story. Cole Custer, all eyes on Custer this week.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he'd do well going back to Xfinity for a little bit. Like he's like the crash test dummy of this team here. I think they give him like
Obviously.
yeah, I think they give him like all the like weird setups and stuff that they want to try for next year, and I don't think he's got a prayer.
Next up, we have Brad Keselowski, 6,900. Nah,
Same thing. They're beta testing everything here. Like Keselowski, like 25th isn't bad. I mean, he'd probably move up a little bit, but I just don't really see them
this is
investing the
BJ.
resources.
Yeah, this is
This,
BJ McLeod in Xfinity.
yeah,
Seriously, just
yep,
team owner riding around in the 78.
yep.
Brad,
No, I guess it's more of a Jordan Anderson,
yeah, there you go. Good, there it is. Nailed
but
it.
not as bad as Jesse Inua.
Yeah, never. Nobody is. JJ Yeley in the 15.
No,
Too far forward. Martin
exactly.
Truex Jr. in 9100 and the 19.
He hasn't really like at one point he was good at these tracks, but he hasn't been good in this car at all this year. So
Yeah,
I think they're going to experiment with things to try to get him better. But the reason he qualified down here is because he just was not good. So
he's not good. That's so surprising how bad he is right now. It's quite entertaining.
I think he's
Uh,
on the other side of it. Like I mean, we saw that
yeah,
with Harvick, like the fall off, and I think we're unfortunately don't tell my daughter, um, it's their
yeah.
favorite driver that he's on not on his way out, but I don't think he's going to. He'll
Well,
be with Gibbs for a little bit longer, but
you
then
kind of saw this with Dale Jr. Like Junior all of a sudden stopped winning races, and then all of a sudden he stopped qualifying in the top 10, and then all of a sudden he stopped finishing
Jimmy
inside
Johnson too. There's the
yeah,
same.
like just they stop like it takes its turn in steps, right?
Yeah,
He's just at the end of the year and he's just done. He's just like, all right, my season's over. I'm just out here with sponsorship money right now. Next up we have Justin Haley. You have the floor.
yeah, I really like him. He's been fast all year. 58, not bad. 18th in practice here, so I definitely think he can get up into the top 20s. And at 5,800, that opens up a lot of stuff.
Yeah, love it. I'm gonna roll with you. Ricky Stenhouse also gonna roll with this play as
Yeah,
well. I think I'm gonna be more on Haley than Stenhouse, but I'll have some Stenhouse.
yeah. Stenhouse has been volatile, but recently, like he hasn't been that bad. He's got a top
Yeah.
15 car every single week there. This isn't a bad team.
Mhm.
So I'm definitely interested in him and these guys make some of the other plays affordable.
Yep. Next up, Corey LaJoy, 4,900 for LaJoy.
Yeah, and he's been good at this type of track also. Again,
Yeah.
we're looking more like five, like maybe top 20 is the ceiling here.
Hmm.
Obviously, Stenhouse and Haley have a higher ceiling than he does, but at
Yeah.
49, like he's done well. And I think, if you're trying to get Elliott and Hamlin and like Reddick
Yeah.
in the same
Do
lineup,
like
you're going
the
to have to
three
go here.
10K guys. Yep. Yeah, LaJoy makes those three 10K builds work or high 9K on the third driver. So yeah, he's gonna have some ownership and I think he's gonna be a good play. Landon Castle, I don't know.
You're skipping Hamlin?
Oh, sorry, Denny. Go
It's
ahead.
simple. He's a lock. Like
Yeah.
he's been one of the best guys on this type of track. Like this qualifying was an anomaly. Practice, don't even look at it. He's in the playoffs. He's going to get up there. He's probably going to lead the race at some point potentially too. But the place differential enough is going to pay the 11K salary. So just in cash, lock him in. GPP, play him also. We saw the same play today with Riley Herbst. We
Hmm.
knew he probably
Yep.
wasn't going to like lead the race or win it, but you needed him in your lineups to do
Top
well.
15, and you're there.
Yeah,
Landon Castle, rapid fire on the rest.
he's GPP. He's decent. Ty Dillon. I mean, he's been slow at times, but there's so much room for him to move up. Like he's a really strong cash play here, and will have high ownership. Cody Ware, I'm not interested in. We saw cars multiple laps, like 4 or 5 down. I think he's going to be one of those.
Yep.
Same thing with BJ McLeod, but Todd Gillian has had some upside. He might
Yeah.
be like 2 or 3 laps down, maybe 1 lap down. But I think he has potential to get into like the top 30 and move up a little bit. So
Yep. I was thinking
he,
28,
yeah,
27.
yeah, and he's got like 5 points baked into him because it's on a 40-point scale anyways. So even if he finishes dead last, he's going to have like 4. But I think he gets a little bit of place differential. So if he gets like 15 points at 5,200, I'm perfectly fine with that.
You're right. I could see you playing him over LaJoy, and I could understand that argument. All right. That'll wrap things up. Mega, we're almost out of time. Thank you for jumping in and getting this breakdown done. Please like this video, comment below with any questions you may have. For all you viewers out there, you can follow me on Twitter at TKNation47. That is at MegaRoar31. You can follow us on our website, FSIDFS.com, or on our Twitter handle at FSI_DFS. Enjoy tomorrow's race and hope to see you in the Discord.